Simon & Schuster Audio presents Trying to Float, Chronicles of a Girl in the Chelsea Hotel by Nicolaia Rips. Read by the author.
Prologue. It was 11 p.m. on the Saturday night just before Christmas, and I had been sent out by my parents to buy ice cream from the nearby Aristocrat Deli. As I waited for the elevator, I amused myself with a favorite activity, seeing how far I could pull the clasp on the ancient fire alarm without breaking its tiny glass tube. But that night my chubby 7-year-old fingers slipped, and I clamped down hard on the lever. The fire alarms exploded through the hallways, and I kicked the pieces of glass behind a nearby garbage can. Neighbors swelled from their apartments. They carried guitars, guns, furs, paintings, and manuscripts, labored under mannequins and giant antique cameras. They yelled and grumbled, rubbed sleep from their eyes, and jostled each other, angry at having been forced out of their snuggeries. My mother, in a nightgown, picked me up in a one-arm hold that would shame a running back and raced us down the hotel's peeling iron staircase. In her other arm was a stack of brightly painted journals that documented her 30 years of travels throughout Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Spices and flora she had dried and pressed in them escaped in a puff of fragrance as we ran. My father, trailing behind us in a mink-lined smoking jacket, cradled a bottle of gin. In the lobby, we were greeted by a crowd of men and women in silk dressing gowns, with smudged eyeliner and wigs awry, and in the middle of them, the angel, naked but for a white cloth wrapped around his groin and a luminous spread of feathers attached to his back. With no chance of returning to our rooms until firemen had canvassed the 10-story building, the mood in the lobby turned from communal annoyance to collective intoxication. Drinks courtesy of my father's bottle of gin and El Quijote, the ancient Spanish restaurant next door. People milled about catching up with neighbors, relieved that I had not yet been arrested, which is not to say that others weren't that night. I walked outside. It was snowing, not white flakes, rose flakes, steeped in the dozen red letters that hung over the front door. Hotel Chelsea. The Fledgling Years. Chapter 1. My First Trip. 8 years into my parents' marriage, my mom discovered that she was pregnant. This seemingly joyous event was dented by my dad's denial that such a terrible thing could happen to him. Convinced that he wasn't responsible, he accused my openly gay godfather, Tom, of fathering the child. My mom was an extraordinary traveler, and though excited about the pregnancy, feared that a baby would signal the end of her journeys. She began to plan a trip to Iran. Because she needed a visa to get into Iran and couldn't get one in the United States, she flew to London and applied for her visa there. She was 5 months pregnant. In London, the Iranian consulate informed her that a visa could take months. Never one to wait around, she decided to travel the Uzbek Silk Road while waiting for her visa to arrive in Tashkent. An Iranian doctor in London gave her a note that said she could travel until 7 months pregnant. With this, she and I were off. Back in New York, my dad refused to admit that he had a wife, much less a daughter, on the way. This fantasy came to an end when he picked up his mail to find a postcard from a grinning woman with a swelling belly, firing off automatic weapons with a group of equally happy Uzbek men. The caption read, "Enjoying the afternoon with your daughter." Acknowledging the imminent arrival of his daughter, my father, who had previously handled my mother's trips to the most dangerous parts of the world, by confining himself to a 2-block radius that included the Chelsea Hotel, his favorite cafe, and his barber, now added visits to a psychiatrist to the mix. What she thought of his reflections on his childhood in Nebraska, vivid and unexpected, like pimentos in the center of olives, I dare not imagine. On July 19th, exactly 4 weeks before I was born, my father...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?